right, a beautiful morning. You're welcome to the next color. My name is Miss Blossom. Excited as always to be here. Trust me, we have so interesting topics to talk about today, and you do not want to miss this. But anyways, I'm not doing this program alone. I have with me my co-host, Patricia. Patricia, good morning.
Good morning. My name is Patricia Uremu Peebles.
Hmm. So, Patricia, it's amazing how we're talking about friendship with the male gender.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of people believe you cannot be friends with a male gender. Something must be, happening.
Something must be fishing.
Yeah, so that's the belief of everybody. But we have somebody amazing now to discussing that. So we want to really know, can we actually be friends with men? And, stop this narrative of something has to be going down. And is it right or is the normal? Should it be that we should really have male friends or besties? Especially when you have a spouse. Your bestie is the opposite sex. But anyways, like I told you, as always, you can join us in this program by going through our social media pages at Galaxy TV News and Galaxy Television. For YouTube, it's Galaxy TV News. And of course, for Facebook, it's Galaxy Television. Then you can download Galaxy Television app from the Play Store or App Play Store to watch this program live. Anyway, you're welcome to the show. Let's quickly go for a tip first before I introduce my guest for today. So the tip we're taking first is tips on emotional intelligence, which is very needed in every relationship with people. So let's take this tip and we'll back into the studio to continue the program. And Martin and Patricia, stay with us. Martin, welcome. Yes, this is what you're going to call it, and that is the tip for you to intelligence. Just wondering, why is it that long? It's because to intelligence is not easy. But trust me, if you can, master your issues and look at how you chat with you, and you can actually continue to actually make sure you be the person, make sure you're mature, make sure be loved by more people because you don't answer any things.
Makes you a better person too, Blossom, to add. Better person.
Anyways, like we said, we're all talking about how is it possible to even have a friend that is a male gender. Before that, let me introduce my guest for today. Well, we have Ebola, here is before, and she is a speaker. She is the CEO of Chris Jules. She is a women empowerment advocate and adaptive analyst. Then we have Ebola. Good morning.
Hi, good morning. Good morning, Blossom. Good morning, everyone. Nice to be here. Can you turn up your volume a bit?
Okay, so we are talking about friendship with the male gender. First, I want to ask, is it wrong to actually have a male friend? Is it wrong? Because growing up even as a child, they always make believe that you don't need friends who are male, who are, religions. They'll prefer you have more female friends. And if you tend to have more male friends, at that point, your parents will start thinking you're wayward, or you're already doing some nasty things, which obviously you might not even do. So I'm just going to ask, is it actually wrong to even have a male friend, even growing up as a child? Is it wrong?
Okay, thank you, Blossom. Okay, we have our own kinds of mindsets in Africa generally. So we have traditional views where people think, it's wrong or it's not so smiled upon. But I'm glad that, these days we have more modern views. People, in fact, you'd be surprised about how many people are liberal about relationships between the opposite sex. So I think we're getting to that sequence. It comes with a lot of perks, but really, of course, there's the gender stereotyping and the societal expectations where, generally people just feel like, okay, I prefer to have same-sex relationships. I feel safer that way. There are a lot of perks with safety with the opposite sex and vulnerability, of course. So I think there's nothing wrong with it, nothing entirely wrong. Every friendship is really about your intention. What you need to first speak to yourself and say, okay, why do I even need a friend? What do I want to achieve? Like they say, iron in the scripture, it says iron sharpens iron. So the reason for the friendship before we even talk about the gender. So in my opinion, but I'm just talking about gender, we're getting better at taking, relationships from the opposite sex.
To be a reason, depends on the motion or the motive rather, and the reason why you're friends with this person. So my question is, I've heard a lot of girlfriends say that most of the reasons why they stick to male friends is because, according to them, female have wahala. They are just problematic. Always tend to have issues. Some of them get jealous of you. Some of them just can. Once you have something beautiful, they are competing with you for no just reason. But if you have a man, he knows how to even talk to you. He doesn't have time to even have issues. But ladies, they will carry face and all of those things. So a lot of people tend to. Well, for mature ladies, most of them I prefer to be with a male friend that will not. If I offend him, he will tell me what it is straight, and we'll talk about it, and we're done. But if it's a female, they'll probably not even tell you. They keep it until one day, and they will tell. I've even had a friend. Well, what am I saying? My best friend, all the way from school. We finished school, did all the degrees we could, came out of school, and maybe 4 years ago, she just called me up one day like, Blossom, do you know you got me angry? I'm like, oh, wow. But we talk, like we play. I see you, like I come to your house, you come to my house, like till now. Do you understand? Before she traveled, and she was like, yeah. I was like, okay, so what happened? I was like, when we're in school. I'm like, what? When we were in school? So you can imagine why. So I can imagine, that time I felt like, now I see why people prefer male friends to female friends. So what would you say about that? Because now, trust me, with that alone, I just feel like just go with male friends, then they'll always tell you to your face. So what do you think?
Yeah, I think I agree with you to an extent. I agree with you. Women, we have issues. I know even when we're talking about people, even I have issues too, because I remember, working with a friend on a project, and then I assumed that this person was withdrawing, and I just assumed it was because of what I said, but I didn't know she was going through something. And instead of really asking and communicating, and then trying to get fit, I think that's where the issues really start. We have a lot of assumptions in our relationship and our friendship, and then we don't have the courage. We feel like we are more emotional in those areas. We don't want to hurt the other person, so we don't want to speak up. But I think that with time, as we mature, we need to learn those things so that we can talk to things. Because I tell you, there are some things you will not want to share with your friend. It's just friend, except you're going to the next level. I tell you, I still prefer marriage. Maybe because I'm married.
Okay, Patricia, what do you think?
I'm just shaking. Everyone, welcome to the show this morning. Okay, my question is, some married women still keeps guys as their best friend, and then they tell you this guy is my best friend. Even when they have issues with their husbands, they try to discuss with the guy, probably a best friend from secondary school or from the university days. They try to ask this guy, talk to the guy about the problem they have with their husband at home. Do you think it's right?
I've always had this thing about right and wrong. I used to say, right is not right, wrong is not wrong. And, they're always, I encourage women to speak out, because I speak out. It depends on the kind of relationship you're in. I may not be sounding regular right now, but I would not want that woman to crash in a situation. As much as possible, you need to choose who you speak to. So first and foremost, it's definitely going to cause a lot of problem with your spouse. And if we are sincere to ourselves, then there's already a gap in that relationship, because for you to me, I would not even speak to a male friend. I don't even think I have on support anymore. But I wouldn't speak to, because you're making yourself vulnerable. We're human beings, and at any point you may start out like normal. Even my husband was my friend before we decided to take it to the next level. So we used to even tease each other like, you think I'll marry you? I don't know, they think I am. So you don't know how your emotions can evolve from that friendship, and especially when you're in a vulnerable place, and then you're already feeling faults with your spouse, and you're speaking to another man, I tell you that man will look perfect in your eyes, which may not be so by the time you really get fit. So I think I want us to be careful, but I will not say the woman should not speak.
Well, but I was thinking, what
Thank you.
if your husband knows your bestie, that is a guy? Is there an issue with that? Because your husband already knows him as your friend, as your best friend. Like we're talking about the topic of having a best friend as a guy,
Okay.
So you think it's a problem
Okay.
even when your husband knows that this guy has been your best friend even before he married you? You think there's still going to be issues, with your husband knowing him as your best friend?
I think it will still be a problem. Because one thing with men is that they don't really speak to their emotions. So it's really up to you as the woman. A man will want to be the preferred, and that's why it depends on the relationship between the man and the woman. So he knows. There was a time where I got permission to speak to a male leader or friend, but I had to speak to my wife like, look, I'm trying to communicate with you, and I really need to talk about these things with someone else. Okay, fine, go ahead, So that gave me a safe ground. But when you, because we need to do things, do you want the relationship to crash out or do you want to build, As a wise person, you need to look at how you can build what you have, because the one you're looking at outside, you'll be amazed. You'll be amazed at that person's own mindset. So that's why I said, because he's your best friend, I will not say don't speak, but I will say there are ways that you can go about it, like bringing yourself on board in that conflict experience. I used to tell married couples that one of the things you must learn in relationship is how to fight. Because we enter these relationships and think that we will not have issues. But if you learn and you agree on the ground rules of your fights, of your discussions, of your disagreements, it will help you a lot. Learn how to fight. The fighting is not in throwing words and just going off the point and off the issues, but learning and agreeing how you would fight and fight well. Thank you.
Okay, well, it's it's very dicey to be honest. Okay, now you're talking about married people. Well, I quite understand. How about if we talk about those who are still, they are not married,
dating,
they are dating, they are in relationship, they are courting, however it is, but they still have either a male friend who is their best friend, or the male friend who definitely has a best friend who is a girl. But in a way, they tend to know each other. Like, I know his best friend who is the female, and he knows my best friend who is the male. Do you think such a knowledge of knowing or even keeping, do you think it's healthy?
I think it's beginning to sound like home video. If you ask me, it's really beginning to sound like home video, like the movies, because we know the truths. We know these things. There are a lot of complications. Have you seen relationships? When we talk about what's evolving now in relationships, it's really different. I don't want to use my own old school word. It's really different from, what we grew up into. Because you will find people agreeing to double date. You find people, so you see, everybody's mindset. That's why it's really about the mindset. If I were to speak of my own or to my own mindset, it would be different. But generally, there are no way there will not be complications. I can promise that. There will be complications. Because I think, this like I saw that clip you had about emotional intelligence. It speaks to first who we are and how we receive feedback. Most times in that conversation or in that relationship, it speaks to us first. It speaks to the individual first. I always say, if you want to have a balanced friendship, you need to speak to yourself. How balanced are you? So, we have a lot of gimmicks happening with relationships that are not even defined. Not even defined. I don't know if that answers your question. Because I'll be happy to hear your opinion too.
Okay, well, let's go for a short break first. I need to adjust this because trust me, if my partner has a best friend who's a female, Oh, no way. I have to be your best friend. You're not allowed to have another female who is your best friend.
Awesome.
I should be your best friend. Yes. Because I don't know, like you said, it's very dicey. Very dicey. I've seen a video that trended online at some point where it was a baby revealed gender, not in the country, definitely. Baby revealed gender. So, and of course, while they were revealing, eventually they found out that the person, they found out that the baby was going to be a boy. Mm-hmm. Now, the woman was still very heavy, you understand? I was so excited, still in the moment of the shouting and all of that. She has not even yet hugged her husband. Her husband was like, yes. Then the female bestie jumped on the husband.
Oh, wow, I'm not going to take that.
Jumped on the husband.
That's not what we're talking about.
And they are best friends. Wait. And the guy was happy. He was like, yes. And turned, kind of excited. Then the wife was like, what? Did you get she not came up like, but I'm his best friend. And his was like, I've not even hugged my husband, but I was excited about the baby. And so you cannot see that keeping best friends, for me, it's a no-no, because trust me, it wouldn't work if you have a best friend as the opposite partner. Anyways, let's quickly go for a break here. Let's take a break. We'll come back, and of course, after
questions for Egbono.
Yeah, we have a lot of questions for Egbono, but let's quickly go for a short break. After the break, we'll be having a long-distance relationship tip. Then we'll be right back to the studio to continue with Egbono, I, and Patricia. Stay with us. All right, so welcome back. Yes, you're watching Women's Corner, and of course, we're talking about having females having best friends or having male friends, however it is. Well, we've been talking with Egbono since, and Patricia, you say you have a question, so let me allow you go first.
Egbono, welcome back to the show. Okay, so this is a story of two young people, ages between 16, 17, and 18. Okay, so it's a female friend and a male friend. They're just friends. They're just besties from school. They're not dating, just besties. And so the female friend flew in from Abuja to spend the time with her bestie in the house. And, so they were, the house was rowdy. I mean, they were having a party. Everybody was there. So there was no space for her in one of the bedrooms to sleep. And then her bestie, who is a boy, said, she'll sleep in my room with me. I was there. That's why I know the story. And the mom looked at him and looked at her and said, no, it's fine. She'll sleep with me in my bedroom. Okay, now, so my question is, do you think the mom is suspecting something? Is there anything wrong to have a female friend and a male friend at that age? Why is the mom suspecting anything? Does she think they would, have it in the night or something? I don't know. Do you think she's suspecting something?
By all means, she has the right to, please. By all means, seriously, at that age, that's really the age of the spark. We can't play with that age at all. I don't think it's allowed. It should be allowed because one, you are even protecting them from certain mistakes that they could make that would also destroy a healthy friendship. If it's really a healthy friendship, there should be boundaries. I think that's one of the biggest things that anybody can give to themselves. Setting boundaries. Setting boundaries is a beautiful thing. It doesn't look good, because it's hard, it's tough. But one big thing that any age at all is boundaries. It keeps you because we are wired with emotions, a lot of emotions. In fact, we are raised with emotions. A baby cries and everybody runs to the baby. You are affirming emotions. From your emotions are being affirmed from when you're a baby. They're giving priority. So are raised with emotion priority level, which is what we need to correct because people need to learn that your emotions are not you. That's where the intelligence come in. So your emotions are not you. When you properly become self-aware, you then see your emotions as a part of you, but not taking control of your thought process and your productivity. Definitely, there should be boundaries. Thank you.
The boy just kept saying, "Mommy, what are you doing?" I mean, she's my friend. And the mom said, I know, she's your bestie.
Okay.
But let her sleep with me on the same bed. So I was just there watching,
Okay, well, I have a question from someone here. It says, as a female, having a male best friend, even after marriage, and probably the husband doesn't like the friendship between them, and you don't want to offend your husband and your male best friend, I think is what can you do? You don't want to offend your male best friend, and you do not want to offend your husband. What do? You're in between. How do you think such a person should handle it?
If I give the person advice, it may break the person's marriage. These things are not just like we just say yes or no. We're talking about a best friend, maybe a friend that you've built over the years, is a very good support system. Definitely your marriage comes first. But I would prefer if the spouse shows more understanding and sets boundaries than just throw away a friendship, because you know how hard it is to keep friends for years. If I look through my list from years past, I still miss my old friends, because that's when life was simple, not complicated. So you know each other for who you are. It's really different. A friendship is worth keeping. But I would say, if you can talk to your spouse and then you can set boundaries, that would be great. Thank you.
I hope you have some spouse that will never understand. They don't just want it. Anyways, I don't even know what to tell you. But obviously, you probably just have to be smart about, keeping your best friend. If you have to, you don't have to throw it to his face or make him understand that you still have that male best friend.
So is it right to keep the male best friend in secret? It's okay.
It's not like in secret. Don't flash it to your husband. Don't flash it. Don't even get attached anymore. Do you understand? I think it should be, like she said, boundaries. Now, if you need to draw, if you had limited boundaries, now it has to be unlimited, but like it has to be so much more. So he knows his place, and your husband knows his place, obviously. But don't flash it to my best friend. You can just use his name. This guy called me instead of my bestie. Just avoid it. Avoid talking about him a whole lot. Anyway, my last question for today is we're talking about dealing with male friends. So tell us, if I want to have a male friend now and I want to turn my male friend to my bestie, what do you think you advise me to do? So I do not, how do they say? They say sometimes, I hope you don't marry, you don't turn your husband to your best friend and your friend to your husband. Do you understand? You have to make sure you understand them distinctively. So what would you advise me to do if I have to have a male friend and keep him as a male friend and not overdo things, and maybe he becomes a best friend and I make the mistake of thinking he's going to be your husband? let me just know what you think.
I don't know, Blossom. Really, because we are wired with emotions, and really I think the best relationships or the next level relationships really start from friendships. So there should always be that, and I wouldn't want you to hold yourself back, because I'm speaking generally. Like if you want to keep a friendship platonic all the way, no, I think it's going to be difficult, really. I think it's going to be difficult, especially using that word best friend. That if someone is really your best friend, that person is like the first candidate to take to the next level. So if you're speaking to, you want to keep it just friends. I started out that way. I didn't end up. I didn't end up getting my own. So I don't know if I'm the best person to advise you. So it's really hard. That's what I'll say. You have to really be very disciplined. How do you cage your emotions? I think I used to go to school for that. I'm sorry, Blossom.
actually love what you said. You understand? You have to. I even take it like cage your emotions. Maybe you need to know yourself better, so you'll be able to cage your emotions, so you don't get too attached. Because sometimes we get it all wrong. You become a friend, you become best friends. You start having. In fact, when the person now have a girlfriend, maybe you met him, he was single, you guys became best friends, and he started toasting a girl and about to date a girl. It's rare for that best friend who is a female will not get jealous. She's basically going to get jealous.
We even get jealous. We even get jealous of our female friends when they have other female friends. Like, we are wired to want attention and priority. So if you say this person is your best friend, your best friend is actually your partner. In the long run, let's not even deceive ourselves, because we are wired to want. If you see someone is your best friend, and you want to be given best, you want them to call at any time, and person doesn't say, "Oh, I'm busy," or "I have to attend to this first." So it's really wordplay here. So definitely boundaries, and then discipline, setting your goals, and I wish you all the best. I wish you all the best. I seriously wish you all the best.
I appreciate your last
Yes,
question.
just one more question. Is a yes or no question. Can you marry your best friend? Can your best friend become your life partner at some time?
Oh, I think that's the best. I really think that's the best. If you get to marry your best friend. It's just that marriage has a lot of dynamics. That will test your friendship, really. Marriage has a lot of dynamics that will test your friendship. So it will really test your friendship. So if you don't even have friendship there, it's a long journey. Although we have different mindsets. We have people that feel like, oh, well, it's not by force, but I'm tired and walk away. It's for some people, it's together forever. So it depends on where you're coming from. So I think that the best person to marry is your best friend, or you make your partner become your best friend.
Your best friend.
Yeah.
Because trust me, I could have a best friend now and I just know I can't marry him because he's just a different person. I already know everything about him, but I just know it doesn't click, it doesn't work, but it's my best friend. But it's very important to make sure that your partner becomes your best friend. That is the most important thing.
True.
Anyway, we can't take any more questions. I'm supposed to ask so much more questions, but our time is already up. But I'd like to say thank you so much, Igwana, for being on the show and pouring your heart out and telling us as it is without any filter. Thank you so much, but I hope you enjoy the show.
Yeah, I did. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for having me. Yeah, bye.
Okay. Yeah, you're welcome. Well, we've come to the end of the show, Patricia.
Before the end of the show, who is your best friend, Blossom?
My best friend right now is myself and my dad.
A male best friend.
Really? My dad best friend. My dad is my best friend. He's a male. But he's better. He's better to be a best friend. Nothing can happen. Father, daughter, best friend. It works for me.
How sweet. We've come to the end of the show. We'll be joining you soon for The Buzz. My name is Patricia Uremu Gabriels.
Yes, and of course I'll be asking her who's the best friend, but I already know her best friend, so I don't need to ask. Anyways, I'll see you pretty soon on The Buzz. We'll talk about what's trending, what's buzzing on social media. Until then, until I come your way again, to have a beautiful day. My name is Rose Blossom. Bye for now.